The internet sucks.
My name is Linda Dinch, and I am a lecturer, senior lecturer, and a researcher at the University of West London. And my research focuses on addiction, and I try to explore the psychological risk factors for development and maintenance of behavioral and substance addiction, focusing on alcohol and behavioral addictions mainly. Addiction is defined as chronic relapsing brain disorder characterized by compulsive drug seeking and use despite adverse consequences. So the person is aware of the adverse consequences but still engages in this harmful, risky behaviors like behavioral and substance addictions. It is a brain disorder because it affects the structure and function of the brain to an extent. So where is it in the brain? It is in the place in a pathway we call brain reward pathway or mesolimbic pathway. So it is the area that starts in the limbic system and travels to the prefrontal cortex. So limbic system is actually one of the oldest part of the brain. And it is focused on, it is our primitive part of our brain. It processes emotions, it is involved in fight or flight response, our responses to threat. So how it is involved in addiction is that there are structures within the limbic system that produces a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter produced in brain, and it is associated with pleasure. So when people engage in behavioral addictions or substance addictions, dopamine is produced in high amounts in the limbic system. Researchers who study addiction come up with theories to explain why it is so difficult to stop once addiction develops. In time, with continuous use of substances, as addiction develops, the pathway between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex becomes weakened, and therefore we act on our impulses, we act on our wants and urges. The public perception of mental health is influenced overall by all these social media platforms. All these website information or social media information are claims, unsupported claims by individuals. And this misinformation misleads individuals who listen or who engages with this information. So it is I think, quite dangerous.
Well, I think it was the film director Woody Allen who said that the trouble with self-learning people, or self-directed learning, is that people only learn what they want. And so people look at social media, they see something that seems correct, and they follow that line, that kind of rabbit hole, if you like. And there's no balance to it. In order to get a true picture of who one is, you need feedback from lots of different sources. And the trouble with social media is it piles in all the stuff that you really like. But social media is constructed to keep you attached. And so you only get what you want to read, and that's a real problem.
Why do people feel the need to self-diagnose?
Because they're lost. Because they want some names, some labels, some reason for being the way they are. Sometimes I say to my clients, it's about trauma, it's about bereavement, it's about things not being what you want. And sometimes that's just life. But if you want to have a shape to your life and a reason, is it because I'm a bad person or because something else is doing something to me? So diagnosis gives you that security, or can apparently give you that security. I mean, people having information is good. The trouble is it's not always the best information. Some of my colleagues are nervous about people having labels, but a label can be quite useful. You can actually say, oh yeah, this is real. The trouble is, the diagnosis comes from a more commonly misguided view, or mistranslated view perhaps, of what professionals are talking about compared to what non-professionals are talking about. And language is getting confused. And I think the person, and sort of lay person, if you like, the non-professional, doesn't always understand what the psychiatrist or the doctor is talking about, and they interpret things differently. So a young person can come away with a diagnosis that can be completely wrong. Sometimes things just happen, you know. Growing up in any world is difficult. Making sense of yourself, making sense of changing things, doesn't necessarily have to have a diagnosis. That dreadful phrase, living one's best life, you know, always on, always trying to, if not impress people, then at least keep them happy.
I think some of the biggest pressures is to maybe just stay relevant, I guess, because we live in such a fast-moving society. People always just come in and out, and I think as well, TikTok is so oversaturated today that things aren't as they used to be, and to try and go as things are today, but it is difficult, definitely is. I really enjoyed posting so much at the start. It was like a creative freedom for me, and it became my income. And there were times when I couldn't think of an idea, and it was just, you can't just not post because that's how you make a living. My brain just never switches off because I'm just so in like a need to think of new ideas. So I have such trouble sleeping at night because my brain is just thinking for hours and hours on what I can do. And I have ADHD as well, so it's just constant. I don't post how I really feel on social media anymore because it just opened me up to everyone else's criticism. I find myself like redoing a TikTok take 20 times because I don't like that angle or don't like the way my head moves in it. Because I think I'm in the social media space, I think I know how fake it can be. I think it's definitely become a bit more of like a popularity contest almost. I also find that some of the nicest, sweetest people on social media are most often the most unkind in real life. And I definitely do think that is because they just want to portray this false identity of themselves. They want to like almost make up for the fact they aren't like that in real life. It is just crazy how fabricated social media can be. If someone doesn't like someone, they will literally dig into their past to try and find anything that they've said or done that is questionable and bring it to light. It's very harmful, but I think as a creator, you're definitely, I think everyone's aware of it. Everyone's aware that everything that they've ever said could be used against them. So I think that I don't think that anything in my past has ever been, you know, cancelable. I don't think I'm that type of person, but I do think that, you know, what if in 5-10 years time, something that's okay nowadays isn't okay then, and I get canceled for it then.
I never thought I was someone who could possibly be canceled. I had one video that made me be canceled, and at first I was just getting some hate comments on my video, but I was used to that. So at first I was just like ignoring, they were just engaging on my post, and that's okay. But I realized some people were misunderstanding what I was trying to say on my video. And at first I just tried to like better explain what I meant, but I still like wasn't actually thinking I could be canceled for that video. But like the moment I realized I was about to get canceled was when a girl from my niche online. She stitched my video. She posted her own like views and opinions about me and about what I was saying. And then like that's when the hate comments and the name callings really began. When I saw like the comments on her video talking about my video, like that's when I was like, okay, this is gonna be serious. But so yeah, shortly after that I deleted my video. But when I did that, someone had already downloaded it and they posted on Twitter. When I saw it was on Twitter, I was like, okay, yeah, this is happening. I'm gonna get really canceled because it's just not my like my property. My video is not my property anymore. My friends and family and my colleagues hadn't seen it yet. When it reached them, I was like, okay, this is starting to get too like too close to home. I do remember a lot of people like threatening me. They called me names like some called me like disgusting, a bitch, some said I should go to jail, and some even added like I should get raped while in jail. Some wanted me dead. If I actually could go back in time, I also very much wish I had just deleted the video the second I realized it could be misunderstood or interpreted wrongly. It's just violence. It's a social approval of violence. The people in general just love to be allowed to be violent and aggressive and lash out on someone without any sort of like guilt or reprimand. And that's what cancel culture enables. It shouldn't be okay, you know, like it just shouldn't.